What is going on, guys? SkiveWalker here, and today the Fett is with me yet again. What is going on, man?
What is up? Here to do a little baseball, right?
Yes, sir. Going to talk a little baseball, but not in the way that you might think. A lot of times we discuss the Orioles, a lot of time we discuss the Yankees, and here soon we're going to be talking some Indians and some other teams around the league. But today we have 10 things that we want to talk about to improve baseball. Now, baseball is getting popular back again like it was back in the 90s, back in the steroid era. It's finally coming back. It's having a resurgence. As much of a baseball purist as I am, it did kind of fade away in the mid-2000s. As soon as baseball started harping on steroids, let's just be honest, it started to go down. Interest started to fall out because the home runs weren't being hit. It was becoming more of a pitcher's duel, which I enjoy. But for the casual guy, for the casual fan, even a lot of baseball guys.
Bandwagon.
Bandwagon fans. They like to see the long ball. Everybody digs the long ball. So now that it's coming back, there's no denying. They definitely changed the baseball to fly better. So now that they're changing that, baseball's coming back. But there are still a couple things that we think should go in a way to improve baseball more than what it is now. Make it even a little bit more better. All right, Fett, give me the first one.
All right. We both agree. We've discussed this, off air together. We want to see the 162 games go away because
yes.
I don't know about you guys, but baseball the first 3 weeks of the season, if you play anywhere in the north or you play anywhere where they're subject to weather that comes until mid-spring.
Right.
Like for instance, we live in the Northeast Ohio region, so the last 2 weeks, they've been playing Major League Baseball. I don't want to go sit outside in this
in 30-degree weather, right?
Yeah, I don't. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're not a diehard." I'm a diehard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not willing to go have my butt frozen to the bleacher.
Right.
So
I love baseball probably more than the next guy. I only played 2 years of basketball growing up, and I wasn't very good at it. I mean, I won a championship one year and lost in the championship game the one year. But I was a bench rider, so I got carried to a championship game or both championship games. I am not a basketball guy. I am a 100% baseball guy. It's the only sport I was good at, the only sport that I loved growing up. And I could watch baseball all day long. However, 162 games is a lot of games. Yes. I mean, put it this way. The NBA has 82. And even this season, just this season, has felt like more than one.
Yes.
Just with the Cavs, it seems like 5 years ago that Isaiah Thomas and Dwayne Wade were on the Cavs. Now we're going into the playoffs in the same season, and the team's completely different. True. Obviously, the trade deadline has a lot to do with that, but even just how long the season is, just with having days off every other day, even the NBA season at 82 games feels like a lifetime. So 162 games, I know they only play really over, 5 months, 6 months, but still, to cram 162 games in those amount of times. And let's be honest, baseball players are sissies. I mean, when they get a hangnail, they're normally out for a game or two.
Yep.
But I think if I can speak, I think a way to fix a lot of that, if you shorten it to 100 games, not only are you no longer playing in the cold, and the playoffs don't have to go deep into November, I know it was LA and Houston last year, but if it was Cleveland, if it was New York, if it was a team.
Oh, yeah. Imagine a Mets Cleveland series.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In November. I mean,
come on. It was practically snowing on by
right. You're gonna have World Series games canceled due to snow.
Right.
So not only are you not gonna be playing in November, you're also not gonna have to play until maybe even late April, early May. Mm-hmm. And if you shorten the season that way, one or two things can happen. Either you're still cramming all these games in, or if you spread it out right, and I still think you can still have days. You can have off days before away games and the day after, like a series. So, since you normally play 3-game series, you can have a day off before a new series and a day off after.
Yes.
And I think if you shorten the season that way, you lose 60 games. Sure, you're losing a little bit of schedule, but I think you can make use more of travel days. I think you can make use more of off days, which, I mean, especially for catchers, because I caught for a while. If you catch every day, it beats you up. And now that analytics are taking over baseball the way that it is, you're having a lot of catchers being interchangeable. As good as Gary Sanchez is, as good as Yadier Molina is, as good as, just name your catcher, the top catchers in the league, they're not playing 7 days a week. They're not. It's just not going to happen. They're going to play maybe 5 at the most, and then they're going to get the backup catcher because it's hard on your knees. And now you're seeing catchers move to first base by the time they're like 28, 29.
Yep.
So you're not getting that. Yep, Pudge. Buster Posey's moving over to first base now. So you just have a lot of guys that, just in that position alone, it's really hard on your knees. It's really hard on your back.
Yep.
And I mean, it comes with the territory. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not making excuses for those guys. You sign up knowing what it's going to be.
You get paid millions of dollars to do
Right,
that.
right. So, I mean, I can understand wanting to play them every day, but I think if you have that off day, you're going to see the backup catcher used less and less and less.
And I agree with you. Let's hit on another aspect of this, all right? Let's really boil it down to why is there 162 games? There's 160. Exactly.
Money. It's going to be money.
So, I don't know about the Yankees having attendance issues, but I know the Baltimore Orioles. When I see a Tuesday night game that had 6,000 people attendance as the attendance in a 30,000 seated park, like it just doesn't make sense. So naturally, you eliminate 62 games. You bring the schedule down. You focus more on those home stands, those home games for everybody, and
more promotions.
Right,
the games are more competitive.
Yes,
every game is going to matter now.
And think about the players, man. Like you said, baseball players are sissy. So the least path of resistance is going to help them no matter what. You're going to have, your big-time pitchers. Maybe we'll see injuries go down. Because right now I feel like I'm watching 2 to 5 big prospects every year in spring training go down with Tommy John. And that's a 1.5-year recovery process. So both of us agree that overall you limit to 100 games and then you're going to sprinkle your playoff series in. You always have the opportunity to go 7 games. But like we're saying, limit to 100 games. That makes every game important. Instead of, this baseball team blew it the first 2 months of the season and they played catch up and got it on. No, you know what I mean? And another thing you hit on is, they could space it out like the NBA. The NBA you saw this year, they went to a new scheduling that was more for the players because they had more time for their families. They did have stretches of, back-to-backs and stuff, but they gave guys off a day or two after that, or sometimes 3 days. I noticed the Cavs were off. So I do believe that being number 1 would be the primary thing to help baseball. Now, number 2, I think we both disagree on this. It's going to be I want a salary cap.
And I do not. And here's why I don't. I'm not completely opposed to a salary cap, but the way baseball's structured, and it's always been this way for whoever has the most money, and people may say, well, you're a Yankees fan. Of course you don't want a salary cap because you spend the most money.
Oh, he knows, ladies and gentlemen.
But see, I'm not blind to it. I can see where it's going to come from. But here's why I don't like the salary cap. Baseball, I don't like messing with the game too much. I don't like changing the rules a lot, even though that's kind of what we're talking about today, which is kind of ironic. But baseball already kind of has a salary cap with their luxury tax situation where if you're over the tax for so long, you get penalized like the Yankees were last year, where even just a cheap contract becomes millions upon millions upon millions. So it still kind of it's a cap in a way, I guess. So I don't really want to remove that. It still lets teams go over if they want to be competitive. I think you should be able to do that, but it's also going to cost you a lot of money to be able to do that.
And I agree with you to an extent about the history of baseball and keeping it the same, and I don't want to change the rules, but, it's almost like for me, all right, not making excuses for the Orioles, but you watch some of these small market teams, and, sometimes they do it, I remember, probably a decade ago, the Houston Astros had the smallest payroll. Now, they're drifting towards $100 million after a World Series title, but, I want to use the Pittsburgh Pirates as an example. I am sick at the death of seeing that franchise ship off everybody in the last 3 decades. It starts with Barry Bonds. They didn't want to pay him, so Barry Bonds, gone. San Francisco.
And I think this has a lot to do with ownership, too. With you're having owners coming in the league that don't even care about baseball so much. They don't care about winning. All they care about is how much money can you put in the pocketbook.
Yes.
Which I think is a big hinder. Now, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to hinder people from buying a team. I mean, that's kind of an MLB thing. But I think that is a big part of it, why smaller market, like the Pittsburgh Pirates, for example, they're just not going to be able to compete until they can get that owner out of there. And it's going to take a lot for the owner to leave. But you're not going to ever change his mentality unless you can get a baseball purist in there as his president, as the general manager, and say, if you put a competitive team out there, you're going to get more money.
Yes.
Until he realizes that it's not going to happen. I mean, the Twins were kind of the same way. The Twins have been bad forever, and now that they started to spend more money, you're starting to see them kind of proceed. It's just kind of like basic economics. If you have a good product out there, people are willing to pay basically whatever it is to go see the game. So,
but, I mean, in the same breath, though, I've noticed that, like you said, the Twins, the Pirates, these teams, they've been competitive in the past. And, for instance, some of the the mid-major teams, I'd say, like, Cleveland and Baltimore. We gave Chris Davis $160 million, so I can't cry about the salary cap because my owner mismanaged the salary.
Right.
What I'm saying, though, is when it comes to free agencies and stuff like that, obviously you're going to have people that have the most cap space, okay? But it's just hard, watching, for instance, as an Orioles fan, the Yankees and the Red Sox just having almost unlimited amount of cash to go get people.
I can agree with you.
And the Devil Rays maybe can attest to it, and the Blue Jays too. That's hard in a division. Now you look at like the Dodgers, who are huge on payroll, the Cubbies. Not everybody's like that, and there are some small market teams that are doing great because they built a farm system the right way, and they have the prospects and they let them mature. But I just don't think that works. And when I think of what I want from my team, I don't want my team to win just one title. I want a dynasty.
Absolutely.
And a dynasty costs money. Yep. And until we have some sort of salary cap that limits that for everybody, or some type of free agent spending only, because I believe what makes the NFL and the NBA and even the NHL so competitive is everybody has the same amount of money. You can go over that, but your owner better be ready to dish out Dan Gilbert.
Dan Gilbert paid a lot.
Yeah,
he did.
And I don't even think we really broke even that year we won the title after having to go to the luxury
they actually
tax.
lost money.
Yeah.
They've lost money the past couple of years. But here's my rebuttal against it, and then we're going to move on. Even if you look at dynasties, because everybody wants a dynasty. Nobody wants to... I mean, of course, it's always nice to win one. Even as Cavs fans, it was great.
Yes,
that feeling to win one
Yes.
was just unbelievable. I'm not going to lie, I cried that night. I was in the queue when it happened. I know they played in California, but I was actually inside the queue when it won, and it was an atmosphere unlike anything I've ever seen. But if you look at statistically great teams and how teams become dynasties, I haven't noticed a team that has gone out and spent money in free agency to become a dynasty. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm just not remembering a whole lot. The year that the Yankees won the World Series in 2009, they went out and signed CC Sabathia. They went out and signed A.J. Burnett. They went out and spent a lot of money that free agency, and it still only brought them one. True. And it burned their farm system. Yeah. I mean, their farm system was just completely evaporated.
Still recovering.
And they're still recovering now that they're finally getting the top prospects, and they're finally grooming their farm system. You're finally starting to see the guys of Gary Sanchez, Luis Severino, Aaron Judge, Didi. Well, even Didi we got from Arizona. Oh, wow. Which is, here's what's crazy about the Didi Gregorius trade. Him and Trevor Bauer were in Arizona. There was a three-way trade between the Indians, the Diamondbacks, and the Yankees. Didi came to New York. Trevor Bauer went to Cleveland, and I don't remember who went to Arizona. Wow. So the Indians could have had Didi Gregorius and Frankie Lindor on the same team, which is kind of scary. But I think just to consistently – I mean, obviously it's going to – no salary cap in baseball is obviously going to lean towards the teams who have the most money. It always will be. Yeah. It's always going to lead toward the big market. It always will, and I can never argue against that. However – it will only get them maybe one, maybe even two. The way to build the dynasty is to build your farm system, and it proves it time and time again. I know the Indians haven't won yet, but when they were good in the 90s, they were all their homegrown players. When the Yankees were good in the 90s, they were all their own homegrown players. David Justice, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitte, I believe they traded for. Mike Mussina they traded for, but it came up through a farm system. They didn't really sign him for a whole lot. Yeah, Derek Jeter came through the farm system. The only guy they really got, and then maybe Orlando Hernandez, I think, also came up through the farm system. I mean, the late 90s, early 2000 exactly, dynasty that the Yankees made were all homegrown. The Indians, even though they haven't won yet, they've all been homegrown, and I think that's the way to. When the Cardinals and Giants were going back and forth every other year, it seemed like. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure those were all homegrown talent. So I think the way to build a dynasty is to have a protocol in place and a procedure in place where you get your own talent, you build them up through your farm system. Obviously, spending money is going to help. But I think the only way to build a dynasty is to actually start from the bottom, get the young guys, and train them up the right way.
Yeah, and the last statement I'm going to make on that is, you stole Mike Mussina from Baltimore. All right, so so the third topic is, this is one of Austin's suggestions. He wants to remove the second wild card. Why do you want to do that? I
just thought it was stupid. I think the wild card race is more fun when there's one.
Yep.
I mean, it's still kind of exciting having that second one and seeing who they're going to battle, but that puts that wild card team at a huge disadvantage in the first round of the playoffs.
Having to play
especially with it only being a 5-game series, having to blow their ace on that wild card game just to get in. they're then at a disadvantage, and you're already killing the wild card team. Whereas if you have one wild card team, if they have that competitive race to the end, they get in and they have a 1-2 punch combo, because the playoffs for baseball is different than any other sport. Whereas pitching is huge. Even your big hitters are not going to hit that well in the playoffs. Just because there's so much going on, the pitchers dominate. It's just the nature of the beast of baseball playoffs. So if you have that 1-2 punch, like the Diamondbacks did when they beat the Yankees in 2001 with Roger Clemens and with, not Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling, that proved to be the difference maker in that series. So if you get that wild card team, say like obviously the Indians are going to win the Central this year. The Central's garbage.
Well,
but let's say
that's
the
a different
Twins,
podcast because the Twins are good too.
Okay, let's say the Twins win the division.
Okay,
just as a scenario, I think the Indians are going to run away with the division. But let's say something happens and the Twins win the division.
Okay,
the Indians now have to blow Corey Kluber game one or for that wild card game. Now they have Carrasco, who's a good pitcher, but he's not Corey Kluber. You have Trevor Bauer, who's good. Sometimes you never. I love Trevor Bauer, but you never know what Bauer you're going to get.
But the counter argument is it all relies on how the manager structures his team for the playoffs. If you have Terry Francona like he did last year, and didn't he go and start Trevor Bauer game one against the Yankees?
Yeah, he did.
And instead of Kluber, the ace starting game one, he blew Kluber. And what happened? They lost to the Yankees. Exactly.
Sure did.
I actually am for removing the second wild card. I like how it was before.
Yep.
I think a lot of it has to do with watching Joey Bats be a douche and bat flip against the Orioles in the 11th off Zach Britton. I think that has a lot to do with it personally with me because I hate the Blue Jays. I hate Jose Bautista. I hated him that he was an Oriole, and I hate that he became a huge super douche when he went to Toronto. But I agree with you. Let's get rid of the second wild card game. Let's make it more competitive. Plus, like you said, I don't want to blow my ace in a game where I don't need to. So another looks like number 4 on our list is we're going to remove the mound visit limitation that they implemented this year.
It's stupid. Let's just be honest.
6?
It's 6.
Yeah.
It's 6. But then if you remove your pitcher, it doesn't count as one, which is dumb.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
I would just remove my pitcher every 4 innings.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick argument. This is just dumb.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is make it a bullpen game. We're going to see it in our lifetime. We're going to see starters not. They're going to go 4 innings to be done. As soon as it goes around that third time, unless they're throwing a no-hitter or a perfect game, they're gone. It's going to be a bullpen game.
Unfortunately, this rule, I think, has more to do with, we need to speed the game up because of the 3 hours it takes to play. And I'm sorry, if you don't like baseball and you don't like the 3 hours of baseball, don't go to a game. Watch it at home so you can do other crap. Because me and Austin, as the fans, that the diehards that love baseball, to see the beauty for it is unlike any sport.
Strategy.
You know what I mean?
It's a big chess game.
Strategy, it's talent, it's basically chess, and today's modern athletes are playing it. And I mean, you're seeing with Judge is changing the way it is, and even the pitchers, man. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think guys are throwing as hard anymore because we're noticing the shoulder damage it causes. But the mound visits,
it's dumb. You got to have communication. It's really what it is. It's destroying the communication between the catcher, the manager, and the pitcher.
Now,
it's destroying it.
I'm all right with them limiting it to once per inning.
I can agree with you on that one.
If you want to go out and talk to him once per inning, that's cool.
Fine. But if you're in a jam and it's a critical situation, let the guy go talk to him. I mean, come on.
And don't tell me, it's the 9th inning, they've used all their mound visits, he can't go talk.
Right.
What do you mean?
Right, what do you mean?
So,
I
agree with you on that. Here we go. This will be mine to bring up. This is number 5.
Yeah.
I hate the shift. I think it ruins baseball. I think, maybe I'm a traditionalist in this aspect, but when I was growing up playing baseball, I played up until about 8th grade. We never shifted. We all stayed in our own positions.
I played through high school and we never shifted.
See, and that's the thing, man. I know why teams do it. I just hate it, dude, because you're supposed to play a specific position located at a certain place on the field, to me. But, like you said, it's all about strategy.
It is.
And for this, with a majority of the batters being right-handed in the league most days, I can see where they do it. I just don't like it.
You know whose career it ruined for the Yankees? Mark Teixeira.
Probably.
Even though he was a switch hitter. So every time they had to shift different positions where he shifted, he was a perennial 300 hitter. Even when they won in 2009, he was a big, big part of that team.
Yeah.
And as soon as the shift started right around then, or right around 2010, 2011, he went from a 300 hitter to a 238 hitter fast.
Which you see
because he used to be able to bloop it. If it wasn't a home run, he used to bloop it over the second baseman or shortstop's head, depending what side of the bat he was at. But now that they moved him over, it went right to him. So now your way to beat the shift is either hit the long ball, which is kind of what you're seeing now with Judge, with Stanton. Chris Davis when he hits it hard.
What do you mean, man? When he whiffs and causes a giant tidal wave of wind?
Yeah, but anytime he hits it, there's a chance for it to go. But all these home run hitters, who's it? Cody Bellinger. You're seeing all the guys saying, okay, well, if you're going to shift, I'm just going to hit it over the shift, which is effective and it's the easiest way to score a run. But I think people need to swallow their pride and just lay down a bunt.
That's
and
exactly
just go
what I was going to bring up.
Just lay down the bunt.
The small ball game has almost been forgotten.
It has.
And you still have some teams doing it. Like I've seen the Indians go into like phases where they use it, but a lot of it has to do with depends on who your manager is.
Your manager, I think the contracts have, because like an Aaron Judge type of player, he's going to. I mean, he's still under the rookie contract. He's going to be cheaply paid until he's 30, just from when the time he came up. But that guy, he's going to get paid to hit home runs.
Oh, yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton got that huge contract to hit home runs. Chris Davis got that huge contract because he could hit home runs. A-Rod got that huge contract because he was paid to hit home runs. So you really, as a manager, you have to tell that guy, hey, you got to lay down a bunt. Yep. You're only going to get singles. You'll probably get it. But then on the other flip side, which I've heard the counter-argument to with the bunt is, okay, if they bunt, the other team kind of succeeded by getting you on first, because you didn't hit the home run. So either way, I mean,
it's strategy. It goes back and forth. Depends on the game.
If they ban the shift, I'm not going to be disappointed about it. I like the strategy of it, but either way, I don't have a big feeling on this one. To me, it is what it is. If it's there, great. If it's not there, great. I think there's ways to beat it, and there's ways to counteract it, and there's ways to implement it correctly.
And see, I'm over here like, no, just kill the shift, kill the shift. I don't want it.
But I think I do agree with you on one aspect. It's used too much.
Yeah, I think almost every batter.
There's this, but it's kind of cool with the analytics and with the scouting department. If you don't scout it right, then hey.
But how many guys do we know now that can hit opposite field? If you're a lefty, how many guys that can pull it down the third baseline?
Even look at Stanton now. Since he's close to stance and he's starting to push more to right field, you're starting to see his shift go from left field over to right field.
Exactly.
So if he changes his swing again, that to me makes you have to be an overall hitter.
Another thing we need to think about, taking consideration to that too, is a lot of these guys have contracts set up that are incentive-wise.
Yep, they are.
So if you hit 40 home runs, you're going to make an extra
bonus.
Yeah, $500,000 or something like that.
Right.
So it's, touche, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I don't think anything will become of it because
I don't think so either.
It's now been implemented too long.
Right.
We have number 6 as we want to see pitchers hit all over, not just the NL.
I agree. I like. Even though both of our teams play in the AL East and they're in the American League and we have the DH, and I think there are certain positions where players just aren't good at field. Edwin Encarnacion is not a good first baseman at all. I mean, he's not terrible, but he's not good.
Yeah.
So him just to hit. Chris Davis, I don't think is a very good fielding first baseman, but maybe he is. I don't know.
Just average guys. They're not your typical stretch out, do everything you need at first.
Right. They're your guys who you just want strictly to hit.
Yeah.
I think there could be a place for this because we have it, I think it's number 8 or number 9, having maybe even extending the lineup to maybe a 10-guy lineup where you still have your pitcher hit and it still have that designated hitter. Because otherwise, guys like Edwin, guys like Chris Davis, guys like Albert Pujols, the guys who aren't great first basemen, like fielding-wise, there's no longer a place for them in the league. They still can hit, but where are you going to put them? You're going to put them at first base, obviously, because it's the least athletic position.
Yeah.
But then
it's not like each row where you're getting tossed in left field at 43 years
old. Right, because he's still fast. He can still field. So, those guys that are just too old to really play in the field. And then you get the catcher. When the catchers get older, they move to first base. You're still pushing those guys out even more. So I'm not really a big guy for the 10-man lineup, but I also don't think it's a terrible situation or terrible idea to think about, where your pitcher still hits, because you're growing up, the pitcher always hit. Yeah. And your best athletes are normally your pitchers. Your pitcher normally pitches. He's normally your number 3 hitter. He's normally then your shortstop when he's not pitching, or your second baseman, or one of the key positions. He's one of those guys that plays wherever the coach needs him to do, and he's normally successful. So why are they taking the bats out of the pitcher's hands after high school and making them one-dimensional in college? That's why I like Shohei Ohtani. Obviously he's only been in the league for a couple years and he's still skeptical. I'm not a big Shohei Ohtani fan, But I like that he's able to hit and pitch. That I do like. And I think with his introduction to the league, I think you're going to start seeing those hybrid players come in a whole lot more.
Because, I mean, we've seen pitchers be able to hit over there. I mean, Mad Bun hits home runs over there.
CC Sabathia, when he was in Milwaukee, could hit. He could still hit.
So, I mean, there are pitchers that are not getting the credit that can hit. For fantasy purposes, I would like to see ESPN and Yahoo do something with that.
Absolutely.
Because if I have an NL pitcher, you should give me his hits too.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
But they don't do that. So I agree. I want the pitchers to bat as well as I'm all for the 10-man lineup. I agree with Austin. Let's go ahead. Let's just let the pitchers – because, I mean, regardless, I mean, you do have your really crappy pitchers that can't hit, which is fine, but that's still an out. And then you have a DH. You have someone all the time that is just strictly focused on – and normally it's going to be your older players, like we said, your Albert Pujols, your Ichiros, somebody that you just have in the lineup that you know is a solid single guy. So I'm all about that.
And I think that's also going to extend starting pitchers last, because if you see NL pitchers come to the AL, they normally struggle big time. Not so much because the players are that much better in the American League, but because you have that designated hitter instead of the pitcher. So you have that one extra guy who can hit so much better than what you had in the NL, where you basically had a guaranteed out every third time through the lineup. And now that you have the DH, maybe now you're not getting as far in the game. Maybe you're only going 4 2/3, whereas before you were going 6.
Right.
So
I agree with you. Number 8 on our list is one challenge. You get it back if you win. And something I want to add on to that. I think what we were both agreeing on is you can use your one challenge, but if you're right every time you use it, you get it back every time.
I think that is the rule.
Okay.
So I think we're in favor of keeping it.
Keeping it, yeah.
Now, like I had posted in one of my baseball ones that I was talking about, when it first started coming out, I was not a fan. I did not like review. I did not like instant replay. But I do, now that I've seen it, I think there are good implications for it. Like the Yankees-Orioles game when it went 14 innings.
Yes.
Obviously, Didi Gregorius was out. Yes. I said when he first slid in. Yes. But when he zoomed in, it looked a whole lot closer than what it was. But he was still out. Yeah. There's no denying. He was out. But if you would have called him safe, then that would have been a huge uproar. Now, I think in that situation, it's huge. I think challenges are good for the game of baseball. But I think if you use it once and you miss, you're done.
Yeah, that's it.
Because then you have situations like last year I saw it over and over and over again, and it was beating the dead horse where a runner stole second base, and he just barely popped up. Maybe like a shoelace was off, and they called the guy out. I think for that, that's just – there's still a human error in baseball.
And it goes back to them trying to limit the time, dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It
really is.
So,
still, shoot, if you're a good hitter in baseball, you're still getting out 7 out of 10 times. If you're a 300 hitter, every 10 times you're up, you're only getting a hit 3 times. So baseball is all about failure, all about human error. So I think the umpires get a bad rap, and trust me, I get mad at the umpires just like the next guy, but they're human. They're going to miss calls. It's the game of baseball. It is going to happen.
And the strike zones change for everybody.
The strike zones just change for everybody. And certain pitchers too. So which I like about it, which is kind of – it's cool. It's a human element of baseball that I don't think they need to get rid of. I don't like this talk of an automated strike zone where if it lights up that it's a strike. I like the bad calls. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. I like it. I think the little human error over it, stealing second base or stealing third or stealing home, stuff like that, I think that should slide. I mean, obviously, technically by the rule, he's out. But I don't know. I think by that they go a little bit too far with it personally. But maybe I'm in the wrong. But
totally agree with you. I'm on board. Let's see here. Limiting replays goes right hand in hand with this. What we're talking about right now.
If they really want to speed up the game of baseball, they can stop replaying everything.
Yes, and live with the calls on the umpire.
Yep. Stop reviewing. It feels foul or fair. It's gonna happen. I mean, you don't even really see it that much. But if you really want to speed up the game of baseball like they say they do, you'll limit the replays because it's kind of getting old.
Which goes hand in hand with one challenge. No more challenges. You want to slow it down, give these people more challenges because they will find a way to challenge 2 to 3 times a game. Our final area of topic, probably going to be a little more lengthy of a discussion, tanking for the future. I want to get into this real quick because I remember the Houston Astros. They went through a 4 to 5 year period where they were the worst team in their division in the AL West. And man, they didn't suffer. You know, the new rules go into effect. There's fines. You lose international draft picks and everything. That's fine and great, but, you know, that sure didn't stop the Marlins from sending you guys Stanton.
Right.
It didn't stop them from sending Ozuna to St. Louis or what's his face? D. Gordon to the Mariners. Like, just overall tanking for the future.
I just don't think it's right for the fans.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole thing. Just
And
making
that's
a fan experience. Because
all
now you're going to
sports.
lose money. Yeah, you're going to lose money. People are just not – they know what you're doing. They're not stupid. They're not blindsided. Obviously, they know maybe for the future it's going to be good. But for the now, you're not going to make any money because there's nobody going to come to the stands.
I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns, for instance. They've
Right.
been tanking for
Right.
20 years,
Right.
and
really
it
the
hasn't
only-
helped them.
Right. They're losing season ticket holders. I mean, people – really the only people who show up anymore are season ticket holders. Shoot, the one game – the only regular season Browns game that I went to – Johnny Manziel's first career start.
Against the Bills?
Against the Bengals. It was against the
Oh.
Bengals. They lost 30-0 that game. I remember it was so cold that day. We were sitting up near the top. I think we paid $30 a ticket. For a football game.
Yeah.
To go to a professional football game, we paid $30. So I think tanking all around is bad. Now, if you want to talk about it for different sports, I think even like we were talking about it off camera basically. For like basketball and stuff, I still don't like it, but this is why I like the NBA draft lottery, because even if you tank, you're still not guaranteed that number one pick, because in basketball and hockey, the two sports where it's like 5 guys or 6 guys, all it takes is one superstar to make you a playoff contender. Maybe not a title contender, but you're still going to be able to wreak havoc. And if something goes wrong, like the 76ers, look at them this year, you never would have thought they were contenders to go to the finals, but then Gordon Hayward goes down. Kyrie Irving goes down.
Yep.
The Heat's still not back yet. I mean, the teams at the top, I mean, the Cavs are still there, but the Raptors, they're going to have to face the Cavs, so the Sixers are not going to have to touch them. They get to face the injured Celtics.
Yes.
They're going to be right there. They're only going to be 4 wins away from the finals. And even though they're still young, they're still maybe not there yet, even though they tanked, they're right there.
Yep.
But even when they tanked, even though their whole thing, the process, not one time did they ever get the number one pick.
Nope, and all their picks were made based off the lottery, which, understandable. I still, for baseball, for instance, I mean, Ohtani, for instance, you know, Angels were so bad that they got to pluck him first in the international draft.
Yep.
So by them being so horrible, they have rebooted their team with one of the best players in baseball, Mike Trout, and we're seeing a little bit different now. They're looking really good right now in the West. Now, in regards just to baseball, like we're talking about, man, I don't like tanking because supposedly, you know, the worse record you are, the more higher draft picks you get. Well, baseball's unlike any other sport. You can have the first pick for 5 straight years, and you can gamble on kids that don't pan out. Baseball is the hardest sport to draft people.
It is.
The talent.
How many number one overall picks do you see that are superstars? What was the last one that's going to the Hall of Fame? Ken Griffey Jr.?
Perhaps,
I think was the last number one pick. And how long ago did he play?
Well, the only one I know of right now actively is Tim Beckham for the Orioles, and he's what you call an average ball player.
Right.
You
He's
know,
not
bats 250.
he's not bad. He's a solid player. He's not like somebody that you don't want on your team, but there's people who can upgrade.
Right.
Like as old as Robinson Cano is over in Seattle, you can improve him there. Jose Ramirez coming over to play second base. I mean, even Rougned Odor, even though he had a terrible season last year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That guy needs a coach to get in his ear to get back to. That guy is so talented, and he just has. He's trying to hit the ball too hard, man. He's trying to. But guys like that.
He's hurt too, so
Yeah, there's guys like that where Tim Beckham's the number one overall pick, but he's not a superstar like Mike Trout.
Exactly. And, I mean, Bryce Harper wasn't a number one pick.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I don't think Judge, I don't think Stanton were. So,
Judge was a later pick.
Right. So
Because he was not that good coming out. I mean, he was okay coming out of college, but he was not highly touted.
And that's basically what we're getting at. Like, you know, baseball is so hard to gauge talent. Your draft picks are always a gamble. It's not like the NBA where if you get a top 10 pick, you're going to get a solid veteran player. It's going to play 5 to 6 years for you.
And even in baseball, when you pick the guy, it's still going to be 4 or 5 years before he gets to the pros.
Yeah. Unless you get blessed with a Manny Machado who spends a year and a half.
But those guys are anomalies, man.
Right. And we don't have those very much in the game anymore.
No.
So But basically, those are our 10 things we wanted to talk about to improve baseball. I think we hit on pretty much everything we wanted to.
I think so.
If you guys have anything you disagree with us or you want to, engage us more on our channel, we'd be more than happy to read your comments and then make a podcast following this one, because we're going to start doing that. If you guys want to write some comments on there, you got some questions for us. I don't think we need to do everything in our list to make baseball better.
But maybe just a couple of them.
Just a couple of them, yeah. And like we said, our biggest thing is, we want to limit the games, man. I'm tired of 162 games,
right?
And I'm tired of seeing my players get beat up all season long. So,
all right, guys. Other than that, I think we're going to get out of here. Make sure you leave a like and comment. Obviously, we like to interact with you guys. And we're only going to grow by word of mouth, so make sure you leave us a comment, share with your friends, get everybody interactive like we want to do with this channel. Like I said, over and over and over again, I want to earn your like. We both want to earn your like. We don't want you just to hit the like button because you know who we are. Yep. But we want to earn your like. We want to make it something enjoyable for you guys, and we want you guys to interact like you're here with us. I mean, obviously it's through the internet. Obviously it's through comments, and as soon as we can get to the comments, we're going to respond to you as soon as we possibly can. But definitely make sure you leave a comment. We want you guys to grow with us as a family and as a Fett and SkiveWalker channel family. Yes. We want to make this as friends talking like they would on a couch, just kind of hanging out. If you're watching a game with your buddies, you're not even so much focusing on the game, but just kind of talking with one another and talking different sports and stuff like that. That's kind of what we want to go with it. We just want to have fun with you guys.
Yep. So
definitely please be interactive. Make sure if you like it, leave a like, leave a comment. If you do enjoy it, subscribe for more, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because not all the time on YouTube anymore. If you're subscribed, it'll drop in your sub box. So make sure you hit that notification button. That way it pops up in your notifications for your phone. Other than that, guys, leave us a comment. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know your thoughts. SkiveWalker signing off. Peace.
Peace.